this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. I quickly want to show you this card before I give it away today. But I have planned to make more cards of these with different styles, just not the champagne bottle. So I thought I'd show you what we're making today. This uses stamps from Visible Image, and it is inspired by a post I think I saw on Facebook. If I can find it, I'm going to link to the video below, because basically what this does is a mechanism card, and the recipient sees it's got an arrow here, and when the recipient pushes that, bottles goes onto the other side and, well, theoretically pours the liquid out. And I think this is really, really fun. And I combined it with this sentiment here, which is a bit of a cheeky one, believe in the magic of Christmas. And yeah, put a sentiment on the inside, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as I said, this will go to the recipient, but I will show you, well, I won't be recording it today, but sometime this week I will be making some more cards, but they will be wine related and whiskey related because I've got lots of boozy friends. So yeah, but I thought this is really cool, and I'm pleased it worked out as I had planned it in my head. So I see you in this video in a mo to show you how it's done. It is a few days later, and I have managed since to lose a few bits on my craft table, although I started tidying up, so I've tidied it away. But never mind, I can still show you how to create the main mechanism. For the bottles, I told you they only had one champagne bottle. I have stamped and heat embossed these bottles onto matching cardstock. I can only find this one at the moment, which is the one that goes with the wine, but I've also created some brown backgrounds for the whiskey bottles. This one is quite a solid cardstock. I'd say that's at least a 270, so that's fine to work for the mechanism. This one here is really flimsy, so I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive on this, and I'm going to put another layer on this before I die cut these bottles with the matching dies here. I don't know if there are matching dies for the wine bottle, whether I have them or I've lost them. I'm still in the middle of tidying my craft room, so I'm just going to fussy cut this for now. And yeah, I need to find the glasses to go with all these, but yeah, so I've tidied them away. I don't want to necessarily stamp those again because I have used glossy accents on those and they need to dry quite a bit. So to cut the mechanism, you can use a die, you can put it through the die cutting machine and do partial die cutting. I find that cutting on a cutting mat just with a normal craft knife is so much easier, and you don't really need anything else. So this is a, let me just check again, this is a, the mat is, sorry, the card base is 5.5 by 5.5. This will go on a 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 card. It's because they're shopboard and they're not quite 6 by 6. And for the mechanism, I happen to have this on my desk, and this is why it's the size it is. You need a circle mask or circle template. I just tell you what mine is in width. Mine is 3 1/4 in diameter. And what I've marked here on this, I've got a horizontal line here, and then I have marked sort of, let me just measure that for you, maybe that makes sense. It's just sort of 3/4 up. I have marked another line that goes through here because you need two areas where you don't cut. So I'm just cutting all the way around here, and I'm cutting all the way around here. I hope that makes sense. So depending on your card base, on the thing you want to put on either side, you might have to use a bigger circle or a smaller circle. The only important thing is that you leave some space here where you don't cut, because otherwise the whole thing will fall apart. So, and I'm just grabbing my craft knife, which has gone AWOL. Oh, here it is. So I've got a really cheap one. I used to have proper ones, but I don't know. I think the blades were blunt, and then I ditched the rest. So I'm just popping this here in the middle of the card, and then I'm going round from where I've marked, and I'm just cutting around here. Take your time, make sure you cut through all the layers. If I say all the layers, it's obviously one cardstock, but mine's rather heavy. So I'm actually moving around the table here. I'm not cutting all from the front, but try to cut it in one go. Don't lift the blade. So, and don't move the template. I'm now turning the whole thing over, because then it'll be easier for me to cut. And now I'm cutting the other area. It doesn't have to be perfect where you're going. By the way, the template I've got in the middle, that's 2 layers of cardstock, which makes it easier because I don't slip over the top. Just moving it just a little bit without raising my blade. So, and now I can take it off and make sure I've cut all the way through, and I have. So if you find you haven't cut all the way through, you can just go in again and just remedy that. Oh, like here, I think I need to go in again, so I'm just going in here. Yeah, so that's all you need. I hope you can see this here. So one thing I shouldn't have done, but it's easy now to remedy that, is I'm just putting this down again, and I've got just a bit kitchen sponge here. You can just use some styrofoam, and I'm just placing this in the middle again because I need to poke a hole here in the middle. I'm just using my scissors. You can use your pokey tool. It's just to mark the middle. So because this is where the bread will go, and I will just use a bigger pokey tool. This one will do. Don't want the hole to be too big, but I just need the bread to go through. And you can, if you want, to tidy this up a little bit in the back, but it doesn't really matter. So for the mechanism itself, I have cut strips of acetate. Let me just find the one I have already cut to the right shape. Never mind, I had them about half an hour ago. So what these are strips. I've marked the middle on the strip here already. Let me just check the measurement. It's 5 inches long. So when I place it on the circle, I know I've got it overlapping on either side. So I know this will come out on either side. But what I did with the others is I cut them down a little bit. So, because I didn't want that much to be visible, so I'm just tapering them on either side and getting a bit bigger in the middle. Let me just show you in a moment on some white cardstock, so it's easier for you to see. This doesn't have to be exact, it's just you want these to be slimmer on either side because you don't want too much to show, but you still want the full width in the middle, so nothing there comes apart. So, and as well, you need to poke in a hole through these. So again, just use some scissors or the pokey tool, just enough for a bread to go through. So with this one, I like to tidy up a little bit because it's got some bulk to it. So I'm just using my nail scissors and I'm just cutting a little bit away. Don't know if you can see that. The other thing you could do is just use your bone folder and just flatten it out a little bit. So the breads I'm using are these small ones here. Don't know what size they are. These came with some embellishments recently. You can use a normal size, standard size if you wanted to, but I find these look a bit nicer. So before I pop this in, I'd already done that on the other ones. I need to stamp my sentiment because I want to avoid the hole and I don't want this to interfere with the mechanism. So I have got this stamp here from Visible Image. It says "Believe in the Magic of Christmas." So I quickly stamp this on here in my stamping platform, and then I come back and show you how we assemble the mechanism. Ta-da! I found my other bits. So these are the other backgrounds. I was actually looking for them to show you. I didn't mention that how I created the backgrounds. These are just ink blended very roughly, and I used some Visible Image stencils on these. Used 2 different ones there. This one is just stamping and faux bleaching with another stamp. So you just use some water on my stamp and took the ink off. And I stamped these all over with Merry, Merry, Merry. And then there is a Christmas at the bottom, because these are for my merry friends. And this one, like with the pink one, I just stamped this in black. With these, because the backgrounds were so dark, I actually heat embossed the sentiment in white there in the middle. So, and as I said before, these, I just stamped these, fussy cut these, and I used some glossy accents on these. So this one still needs to be stuck down. But I'll show you how to assemble the mechanism first. So what you need to do now is take your bread and you pop it through the middle, and then you take your acetate piece and you slide that behind here, put the bread through the hole, and then slide the other end out again there. Quite easy to bend then. And then you can just open the bread to hold it in place. With the original card, the one that you've already seen, that one I had finished, I didn't put any foam or anything on the back, but you can do it if you find you've got too much bulk. But I had a bit of bulk from the bread here, but I didn't mind that, and I just glued this down flat. So what you then need to do, make sure it moves all the way around. If you find you need to cut it a little bit again, like I could cut it a little bit here for it to go a bit further there, but I think that's fine. So I cut, when I created these backgrounds, I also cut some circles from the cardstock just to match it, and I want to glue this on here. I'm just thinking whether I need to shorten it a bit, but I think it's fine. And the best thing to work with acetate is just to use some red tape. I'll just get mine out. So I'm just popping a tiny little piece. Just zoom in a little bit more, you can see what I'm doing. Just put it here on the end of the acetate. Take the release paper off, and then I'll just place this down. I will draw an arrow on this afterwards, making sure the acetate doesn't come out on that side. But I like to place this down first, because this helps the recipient just to move this round. So then I can glue the wine glass down. I just do that with my quick grab glue. You can also use the Collall, the acrylic glue, anything is fine really. Ideally, you glue these down first and then put the glossy accents on. But the day I was creating, I was busy, and it was easier to do it this way round, because they can lose their shape a bit, they can bend a little bit, and then it might be difficult to glue them down. So if you can, glue them down first and then add the glossy accents. So now I need to quickly fussy cut my bottle, and then that will get attached to there, and then it all goes on the card base. Really easy. So I'll show you that in a sec. So when I pull my acetate back and I see how it sits here, it's not close enough to the bottle, so I definitely need to cut this a little bit further. So I'm just taking my template again, getting a bit closer, move this away, and I will just, tell you what, I'll come in from this side and cut in this direction. I just need to extend this cut just a few millimeters. So make adjustments if you need to. So when I pull this all the way up now, still slightly attached. Probably have to cut a little bit on the top as well. Yeah, that's better. So I think the champagne bottle was slightly bigger. So the other thing you can do actually, which I should have done here, is cut this a bit slimmer, the acetate, because if you do that, then you can go further to the side. I think this is how I managed to go a bit further to the side, but I think this is enough now. So I can now put some red tape on the top here. Ideally they would be on the same level, but it doesn't matter now. I might actually lift this up properly here. As long as it sits straight when this is in the top position, you'll be fine. So just delete a little bit of red tape on the top there. I hope I'm not going too much off camera now that I'm zoomed in. And the red tape is really strong, so you don't really need a lot. So again, making sure this is completely pushed in that direction. And then I just put this over the bottleneck there. So, and we're now going to move the lever. The bottle empties into the wine glass. Probably will spill a bit on the side here now, the way it's attached, but it's a thought that counts, and I think this is quite funny. So all I'm doing with this is, as I said, I'm putting some more tape around here. Don't put anything in the middle of the mechanism. I don't get too close to here either, because I want this to have a bit of room for the bread to move. So I'm just putting around the edges and just putting this on my card base. And I will do the same with these here, obviously. So I just show you these in a moment when I've finished them all. But as I said, my suggestion is maybe cut these strips a little bit thinner and taper them a little bit more, because then you can get closer to the edge here and move them a bit more. So I've just found out, because I had already pre-cut these here, why this one doesn't work that well. Because I showed you the wrong alignment of this here. I aligned this with this one here, with that line here in the middle, but it has to be this dotted line. So basically you start on the horizontal line with the cutting and stop here at like 2 o'clock. And then you start again at 3 o'clock and go to 8 o'clock. So I did this wrong on this card. It doesn't matter, it works okay because the bottle is long enough, but this is how I did it on the original card. And then, although you start higher, you've got more grip on the bottle there. I'm not quite sure how I did it actually on the champagne one, but yeah, either way, have a look yourself. Depends on what you attach, how far you want to go, but I think this one's better, starting at 9 o'clock, going to 2, starting at 3 o'clock and going to 8. I think this is the better option. So I quickly assemble this one here. I'm only doing one whiskey card here on camera, and then I'll show you the other the finished card. And by the way, this one I decided against the tape on the back. I just used my quick grab glue and that worked just as well. So if you don't want this to be standing up like that, do use some foam pads behind the background, but I don't mind this lifting up because it's just part of the mechanism. So yeah, so let's quickly finish this and then I'll show you the card. So here are my 2 finished cards. By the way, I drew a little arrow here on the card with my alcohol marker on the circle, and then I just went round it with a gel pen. I think that goes really nicely with the heat embossing there. So yeah, you've seen this one before, so that pours the wine into that glass. And this is the one with a whiskey bottle again. I just drew that on there. and the recipient can just lift it up there, and then we're pouring it down there. Obviously the bottle stops a bit higher here, so decide for yourself where you want to stop it and where you want it to start. But I think this way it works a little bit better, and the bottle sits neatly here at the bottom. Yeah, I think these are really funny, and especially if you got friends who like a drink. And yeah, if you like these cards, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.